Growing up in the Silver Valley in a small town, I have learned some things that have stuck with me even to this day, like what it means to be part of a community where people say hello and wave, where neighbors help one another, where families stick together, and the simple joys of life are embraced. The challenges of growing up were ever present, but they shaped me in ways I couldn't have imagined. Dance was a refuge, a way to express myself, and taught me discipline, perseverance, and the beauty of storytelling through movement. While sports taught me about teamwork, determination, and pushing my limits. Spending time with my family is where some of my most cherished memories were made. Whether it was camping, hiking, spending time at the lake, playing board games with my mom when my dad was working nights, or sliding down Division Street in the old blue bus during winter on our way home from church, and us kids telling our mom to do it again. The memories I carry from my formative years are a blend of laughter, tears, and invaluable life lessons. They have shaped my perspective, taught me resilience, and instilled in me a deep appreciation for the simplicity of small-town life. The Silver Valley will forever hold a piece in my heart, and I am grateful for the experiences that have molded me into the woman I am today. I was born in Santa Clara, California in 1972. My parents moved to Keller, Idaho, which is in the Silver Valley, when I was 3 years old. My dad was born in Wallace and had lived in Wallace for most of his growing up years, and then he moved away to California and met my mom and decided that he wanted to come back and raise a family here. I went to Sunnyside Elementary, which is now actually part of Dave Smith Motors car dealership in Kellogg. And that was about 6 blocks from where I lived. So when I was in kindergarten, my brothers used to walk me to school. And then when they went to middle school or junior high, then I had to walk to school by myself. But living in a small town like that, it wasn't really an issue because everybody knew everybody, and my parents didn't feel like it was unsafe to let me walk 6 blocks to school and back. So times were different back then. And, people looked out for each other.
Home from here, and then you had your key, and you would unlock the door, you would go in. I always tell you, lock the door when you go in, get your sandwich out of the refrigerator and pour yourself some milk. And you did it all. You would call me to make sure that I knew you were home. And I would go and answer the phone, and then I'd be home like within an hour. Yeah. That's so cool. Then you did that for a little bit, and then pretty soon you said, Mom, I don't like being by myself. I just told you, okay, so then you're gonna walk all the way down, and then make sure that you look both ways when you're crossing the street. I said, walk down to where I work. So that's what you would do. You'd walk all the way down, and then I always knew what time you would get there. So then I'd go to I would meet you at the door, the side door. Okay. And so I would bring you in, and then I would sit you down in the lobby and have you watch TV with the couple of elderly people that were in there. I feel like I kind of remember some of that, but they would say to me, "We'll take care of her," Oh, I love that. So you did that, and then Jenny did that. So that's awesome. I went to junior high from 7th and 8th grade, and then I went to high school, Kellogg High School, 9th through 12th. My class was actually the first class that freshman year that had went to the high school, so they had switched that over. So that was kind of interesting because I think some of the upperclassmen didn't want us freshmen there in the high school. I graduated from Kellogg High School in 1990. I was always involved in something in school. I was in track in junior high and part of high school. I did track, I think, for 4 years. I played volleyball, loved volleyball. I think I did volleyball for about 4 years as well. ASB, Student Body Council. I was also on dance team, which I loved. I was
co-captain and then captain. I tried my hand at basketball when I was in junior high, but I was at a game one time and I ran down with the ball in the wrong direction. And so that pretty much ended my basketball career because I didn't have a very good sense of direction. Growing up in a small town definitely has its pros and cons. I think one of the pros is that everybody knows everybody. And one of the cons is that everybody knows everybody. That's all I knew growing up. So yeah, my parents both worked. My mom worked at the nursing home for the majority of the time that I grew up there. I actually used to go and help her when I was older. She worked in the laundry for part of the time she was there, and I would go and help her in the laundry and fold clothes and help her deliver them to all the elderly people. And I got to know some of the people there. And so that was kind of a special time. Got to spend time with my mom, and I got to spend time volunteering at the nursing home, which was like right across the street from where we lived. My dad was in law enforcement. And so, of course, everybody knew my dad, which meant everybody knew us. So sometimes it was very hard to get away with anything in our teenage years. Not that we were bad kids, but, you know, we were teenagers. So a big part of my life growing up in Kellogg was we were involved in church, St. Rita's Catholic Church, which is uptown in Kellogg. From the time I was a little kid to the time I left home, I had a lot of good memories, and it gave me a good foundation in who God was. I didn't come to know the Lord until later in my 20s, but I always believed in God. And I had my first communion there, confirmation. I remember we used to go Christmas caroling, and we had different events at the church that we were involved in. And so I have good memories of that. Growing up in a small town and everybody knowing everybody, there was like a trust factor, sense of community and family and that closeness. Something in a small town that you're not going to get in a lot of other places. So that really kind of shaped me as I've gotten older and have family of my own. Those things are very important to me. You know, as the area gets bigger, it's hard to maintain that sense of community, because it's so big. We kind of miss some of that here now, but growing up definitely had that in our small town. Growing up in Kellogg, I think at the time, because the mines were going, it wasn't as green and lush and beautiful as it is now. It's a lot of that is really grown in. So my friend and I, we used to ride bikes all over the place. We used to go hill climbing behind our house and just kind of run around. We spent a lot of time at the community pool in the summertime. My brother would walk down there with me, one of my brothers, and go swimming all day. And there was an ice cream shop uptown. And so I always have good memories. We'd go up there and I'd get licorice ice cream that was like black and or bubblegum ice cream, and spent a lot of time some of the local parks, like in Osborne had a really nice park. We used to go there and have picnics, or the park up in Mullen. We spent a lot of time up there, huckleberry picking, camping, fishing. We spent a lot of times outdoors, which and still to this day, I love to be outside. I don't get out as much as I would love to, but I do. I love our area so much. It's weird, traveling other places, and because I come back, I miss the mountains, I miss the lakes, and there's such a beauty here. So I really come to appreciate that. And growing up, spending so much time outside, I still love to do that. I think, living in this kind of environment had a real impact on me, because I've always had a love for the outdoors, still do to this day. And we live over by the Chain Lakes, so it's just beautiful. I wake up every morning and it seems to always be a different scene outside, and seeing the geese and the eagles. And we have a bike trail right by our house, which I need to get out and ride more this year. I can't imagine living anywhere else. This is what I grew up with, and it's what I love and will always love. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but here. In elementary school and junior high, I was pretty severely bullied, and had a real impact on me growing up. I think because of that, I tried to overcompensate in a lot of ways and being involved and doing things to try and fit in. And at the time, I didn't really realize that's what I was doing. But when I look back now, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely what was going on. And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of kids go through that when they're younger. And it's hard enough, just being a kid and growing up and becoming a teenager and working through all the emotions of that. But you're not even confident in who you are as a person. It's very hard to deal with some days. And so my mom and dad did the best they could as far as that's concerned, and going to the school and trying to deal with the situation. But, kids can be cruel. So, I think a lot of that starts in the home. It really does. And teaching your children how to respect one another and to respect differences in one another. And I definitely think that going through the challenge of that when I was younger, being bullied, made me into the person that I am today. It did give me some grit and determination. I am a very determined person that I will overcome challenges that I face, and not just on my own, but now that I have the Lord in my life, I know that with the Lord's help, I can overcome anything. I think when you're younger, everything's a big deal and everything's like magnified. When you deal with things and with going through challenges, because when you're younger, you just want to fit in. And so, dealing with that at such a young age and as a little kid, I didn't know how to deal with some of those things. So I think as I got older, I definitely tried to fit in as best as I could in the only way that I knew how, which wasn't always I didn't always make the best choices and act like I should have. And I regret those things, I think, making not great choices sometimes. But as far as going through that and being bullied, I wouldn't change it because I do believe that it made me who I am today. And I feel for kids that go through that now, because the bullying I faced when I was younger was more physical and more, name calling and that kind of thing, where a lot of kids now it's online, it's cyberbullying, I guess is what they call it. But nevertheless, it's all the same thing. And I feel for kids that have to deal with that. I would just encourage anybody who's dealing with that even now to not let it break you, to know that things will get better and your life will get better, and use that to move forward and press on and overcome. And it did take me a while, even into my 20s and 30s, to kind of get healing from that and have some confidence myself. But overall, I had a lot of good memories, and it has been a blessing. And actually, I still consider myself a very small town girl at heart. I love that sense of community and closeness and kinship that you have with people. I still run into people. I go up there today and I run into people that know my mom and dad, and how's your mom doing? How's your dad doing? So I do love that. And it's hard because you don't get that in a bigger area. And so that's one thing I love about small town life. I became interested in dancing when I was 7 years old. And that was also a huge part of my life growing up in the Silver Valley. I started dancing when I was in first grade. My mom signed me up at Betty Damiano School of Dance, which was in Osborne, Idaho. I just fell in love with it. So I did tap, I did jazz, I did ballet and point. I think taking dance all those years, it gave me some discipline, and it also gave me something to look forward to every week. They put on a big recital at the end of the year, and so my mom, sometimes she would help make costumes for me, and it was just a real special time. I loved it, and she was a great teacher. She poured into me and encouraged me, and somebody that I will never forget to this day. She's no longer with us, but she was my very first dance teacher, and she taught me a lot. I think at the time, when you're younger, you don't think about obviously so much about the things and the people that impact your life along the way until you're older and you have time to reflect on that. But she was definitely somebody that impacted my life.
So when Sherrie was going to go into first grade, I was making costumes for a couple of my friends and for their daughters for dance. And Sherrie kept looking at the costumes, and I said, "Would you like to try one on, Sherrie?" And she said, "Yes, Mommy, I would." And so I tried the smallest one on her, and she instantly went into a ballerina pose, which I don't even know where she got it from, where it came from, where she'd seen it, because I was not a dancer then. So it was just amazing. So I said, "Would you like to take dance, Sherrie, when it comes around again?" And she said, "Yes, Mommy, I want to take dance." And so she did, and she became a beautiful, beautiful dancer, and still is.
So I'm in Osborne, Idaho right now, and I'm standing in front of this building, which used to be my dance studio. From age 7 through middle school, and then I had come back during high school, but this was Betty Damiano's School of Dance. And now it looks like it's a little preschool. But I had a lot of good memories here growing up and dancing and learning ballet and tap and jazz and point. Yeah. Should I do a demonstration?
Yeah.
Can you see all of me?
Yeah.
So I remember all my positions. So I was first position, second, fourth, and fifth. So I learned all the bar work here. I was in my later 20s, and I was going to church here at Ironwood Chapel, or Living Hope. It was called a Living Hope at the time. And I had been on a dance team for a couple of years there at our church, and we had an opportunity to dance at the Catholic church where I grew up, St. Rita's in Kellogg. And it was really special memory I have of that, because that's not the normal in that Catholic church to have a dance ministry come in and share in worship dance as part of their service. And so I really felt like that was such an open door by the Lord that we were allowed to do that. And my mom was a part of that, of us going in there and being able to minister and dance. And it was a very special time just to be able, as a born again believer, to dance in a church where I grew up. And all the years that I spent there, through all the turmoil and all the things I went through as a young person, and then to be standing in that place and worshiping the Lord, it was pretty special. My mom had told me that people talked about that for a long time afterwards. So that was just kind of a full circle moment for me, I think, because it was more than just a love of dance. It was something I believe the Lord put in my heart as a way to worship Him. And so to be able to do that and come full circle, and to be able to minister in a place that I grew up in, was pretty neat. So. So I think one of the challenges growing up in a small town that I would imagine a lot of kids probably have that grow up like me is you have a sense that there's something more. There's something more out there. You start to when you get older and a teenager, you're like, you kind of want to kind of break free from your parents. You want to break free from just kind of everything and explore and, new adventures and new experiences. And that was me. When I graduated, probably about a month after I graduated from high school, I decided to move back east of all places, over by New York City. I got a job over there as a nanny for a year. And I thought that I really loved it at the time. I had some cool experiences while I lived over there. I got to see some Broadway shows. I had always wanted to see the show Cats, so I got to go see that. Saw Fiddler on the Roof. And so it was just kind of neat. Went to the Empire State Building, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, all those cool things. And so it was a neat experience. And I worked for a wonderful family over there who treated me very well. So it was great at the time, but I had a longing to come back. I missed home, and my year was just about up, and the family, they wanted me to stay and work for them another year. And I thought, well, I was kind of homesick, and I decided to come back. And it was a good thing I did, because little did I know my life was about to change that next year when I got back. But I guess my point is that sometimes you think that there's always more out there, the grass is greener on the other side, but really my heart just longed to be back home and be around the people I knew and my family and my friends. And I came back and ended up staying. I never left again, and I built a life here, and have never wanted to leave since then. So me getting out of a small town lasted about a year, and then I came back and have never left since. But that's a whole nother story that I'll share next time. One of the things that I remember about being over there on the East Coast, it was so different from here. Just the culture was so different. My parents raised us with manners. And so it's like, opening the door for somebody or saying hello. Or I remember being over there and just very vividly remember, holding a door open for somebody and they look at you like you're nuts or saying hello to a stranger. And so that was kind of different because I wasn't used to that. Living in a small town, you said hello to everybody and you held doors open and you helped people when they needed it. And so being in a big city and not seeing seeing how people weren't really too friendly, or they kind of looked at you like you wanted something from them. And so that was kind of a culture shock for me, I think. The other thing that kind of threw me off when I lived over there is because I love Canadian bacon and pineapple pizza, and it couldn't be found over there. So it was funny because I remember ordering a pizza one time and Canadian bacon pineapple, and they're like, oh yeah, we have that. And I was so excited, and then I got my pizza and it had a crispy bacon on top instead of Canadian bacon. So that was kind of funny. That's just one of the things I remember over there. But I very much enjoyed the food and the different culture and the family that I worked for, and spending time with them. And still have a lot of good memories. They're good people. They still live over there, and their kids are all grown now and have families of their own. And what's cool is I get to see them on social media. So that's kind of neat, knowing that I was there when they were just little. But I think going through that experience, living over there, it definitely made me realize how much I missed that sense of community and just knowing people and just that sense of kinship and closeness and saying hi to the neighbors and running into people at the store that I knew. And so I think I definitely missed that. You don't think about that when you're younger, it kind of, you look at it in a different way as like that. Maybe that's kind of you want to get away from that. But then when I saw the whole opposite side of that, I was like, no, I missed that. And I definitely wanted to come back. I don't think that was just me. I think God definitely had a plan for my life. And there was so much more in store that I didn't realize that I was going to be experiencing. I think about that sometimes. I think about, man, if I would have stayed there, they wanted me to stay another year. And I think if I would have stayed there, how different would my life have turned out? I wouldn't have met my husband, and it just would have been a different life. It's weird to think that, but I'm glad I came back, and I felt like there was a reason I was supposed to be back here, and there definitely was.